everyone. I am back with another book review, and this was actually from another book club. So today I am looking at The Dream Daughter, and this is probably what the cover will look like in the bookstores. This is a pre-published copy. It doesn't come out until October 2nd. I got it through the program She Speaks. It's a book club, you can kind of see. Anyway, so they sent it to me early, so I read it, and I'm here to review it for you. So basic things, like I said, it will be published October 2nd, so it was neat to get a pre-read on that. It will be published by St. Martin's Press and is 367 pages plus the acknowledgments. It is a fiction, or if you want more detail, it's kind of a science fiction. And you will be able to get it at basically everywhere books are sold. So that's kind of the technical facts of that. Now into what I thought. So I knew they had told me I was accepted into the program, so I was kind of watching for the book. Then when it came, I'm like, oh, yeah, like maybe you'll get this if you watch many of my book reviews. But it's not true of all books. But this one I got in the mail, and I was like, I'm just going to read like a couple pages and then I'll start on supper. And then a couple chapters later, I was like, I should really eat supper. So it definitely sucks you in. Kind of like with the last one they sent me, I was only planning to read like a chapter a night. That would get me done by the date we were supposed to finish by. I ended up reading this whole thing in 2 days, and honestly, if I hadn't had to work, I would have just sat and read it all night, but I needed to sleep, so I didn't. A few things that kind of initial thoughts, so like the first chapter here I'll show you, it has like the name at the top, and this reminded me a lot of the final book in the Twilight series, that Breaking Dawn. And so I was like, oh, it's going to totally be like, I don't know, not that Twilight's a kid's book, but like, you know, kind of not like super adult, not, I don't know, you know what I'm saying, like more along those lines. And it was science fiction, so I'm like, oh, I mean, like I like Twilight, but, you know, not my favorite book, so don't get my hopes up kind of thing. As the story progresses, though, I feel like it really pulls it together to see those different views of changing from character to character. So it seems like, again, I was looking at it from the viewpoint of, this is a science fiction novel, but it doesn't have like robots or doomsday or like, I don't know, I didn't really know what to expect. But it's really like a full-bodied story. It might be geared towards young adults. I'm not like, it's kind of written that way, but yet I feel like I got a lot from it being a little bit older, and I feel like if my mom read it, she would get something different from it, or maybe the same thing, but get a lot from it. So I think a lot of ages can read this and get different takes on it, which is kind of the cool thing about this book. So like I said, we start the book looking through Carly's eyes. And then periodically it'll change to Hunter. I'm not going to go into too much detail about the characters because I don't want to ruin the story for you. But it definitely brings the story to life, and you get to see the different perspectives. And I feel like it would have been lacking if she had told it from all one point of view like the typical novel does. You definitely kind of feel the range of emotions. You know, there's sadness, you're kind of fearful, but at the same time, you're really hopeful and optimistic and actually joyful as the story continues. But it can be a bit of a mind bender depending on how much thought you're putting into the storyline. Again, that just proves that you could reread this multiple times, either right in a row or at various stages in your life, and get something different and still enjoy the book. All of the characters were very relatable. Sometimes what they asked seemed like ridiculous, and you're like, why, how could you say that? But then you're like, oh, I could totally see your point of view. Like, from Carly's point of view, you're being this horrible person, I mean, none of them are horrible people, but, you know, I could see, like, you can see where disagreements happen in daily life, where it's like, I see it one way, and the other person, you're like, what are you thinking? But the book does a good way of showing, like, no, that person makes a lot of sense, just not from your point of view, but from her point of view, it makes total sense. So it was really interesting how they kind of played on human emotions there and human reactions. Um, Diane Chamberlain definitely showed that every decision has so many vantage points, and a lot of them make sense. It just depends on what angle you're taking from it. So really keep an open mind, because these people who are giving you advice that you're like, yeah, right, they might not be so crazy. You might not agree with them, but it's definitely good to get all that information. Um, so, like in the book, Patty's primary concern is the well-being of her sister, while Carly only cares about her unborn child. And Hunter feels this sense of purpose, and he wants to help and follow through, even if that means sacrificing some of the things he cares about. Even Myra seems sharp and kind of hard, really shows that she cares and loves everyone, like in her own way. So again, it kind of shows people's point of views are valid, but it also shows that people have their own way of sharing their caring and their love, and just because it's not what you consider the proper way to show your love doesn't mean that they care any less about you. Which is, I feel like, really great for both adults and kids to get that kind of message. Like I said, I only plan to read a chapter a day, but I got hooked and finished it in 2 days. Super easy read. Like I said, I can show you some of the text. It's like really well spaced out, and not, I mean, so you could read this in the car or airplane if you don't get motion sick. Just kind of a good traveling book, because it doesn't get like too deep, too serious, but it's very entertaining, but still has some serious topics in it, I guess. A few key lessons to take away. As cliche as it sounds, love really does make the world go round. Even in the toughest situations, it makes life worth living, worth trying. This is shown again and again, whether it's through Patty's concern for Carly or Hunter's sacrifices, Carly's willingness to go to any length to save her child, and Myra's kind of help throughout the whole thing. Another one is trust. That trust is really crucial to humans and to living a worthwhile life. We see the benefits of trust many times in this book, whether it's the blind trust that Carly's showing Hunter, and how amazing that changes her life, or trusting people that she's never even met. Another key lesson is kind of that being bold, being brave, being fearless can pay off. That's not to say be dumb and bold in that way, but there are certain times where a lot of people are going to think you're crazy, and following your instinct, following your heart, will yield really spectacular results. In this book, the main character, Carly, is fearless, and she just gets so much more experience in her life by making these decisions. Yes, she has help from others, but she's not listening to the people going, whoa, you are insane, you can't do this. And it really works out for the best. That being said, obviously use reasonable judgment. Don't be too crazy, but you can be crazy in the way that goes against kind of the mainstream thoughts. The final one that I kind of picked up on was that life is unpredictable. You don't know what's going to happen. So what seems impossible to you one day might become like ordinary and everyday a week from now. Don't write off possibilities just because they seem far-fetched. So while you might have a plan, be prepared to make changes as you go. Adjust, reach. I mean, this sounds again all of these cliches of reach for the stars. The impossible becomes possible. So it's unpredictable in that way, and be ready for that. This book didn't have as many like kind of funny, witty quotes as one of the other ones I reviewed. But there was a lot of emotion in there. Like there's one where she says, how did you steal a child away from the world she knew to take her to the world that she belonged? Like, it's really, that's the heart of the question of, do you not? I don't know. And kind of another one explaining the relationship between Patty and Carly was that Patty would never be able to understand that, yes, I was home, but I wasn't the same Carly I'd been before. So there's a few in there that just kind of show the raw emotion in the book. Like I said, not like words to live by. I didn't find like good motivational quotes or funny quotes, but there's a few that just show the emotion in the book and how great it is. So overall, I would definitely recommend this. Like I said, I probably was written for more of a young adult novel, but I feel like you'd get so much out of this as a parent, as someone who has friends who have kids. As a child, you would get a lot out of this. It is actually fairly light reading, as serious as it sounds while I'm speaking about it. It's fairly light reading and entertaining, even though it has serious themes in there. A lot of lessons to be learned, and a really like optimistic and kind of different take on science fiction than I've seen before. There's a few spots I feel like we missed out on a few people's stories, like Joe and what was his relationship with Joanna at the end. And does he think Carly's crazy? We don't really know. But for the purpose of not having this book just continue on forever, I think it ended at a really good point. And she did do a wonderful job of telling all sides of the stories and kind of utilizing that multiple character changing viewpoint from chapter to chapter to give us the whole story and make us really understand everyone's views. I haven't read Diane Chamberlain before. I do believe she has kind of a list of books in the cover here, so I might actually look into some of those. Since this book was so enjoyable, I might try some of those out. I don't really know what kind of book she has, but definitely check it out. It was a good book, and if you want to see my whole written review, head to the blog that's in the description. If you haven't already, hit subscribe. Be very grateful for that. Otherwise, you want to check it out, the link to go find the book is below. Also, definitely recommend it and enjoy reading. Also, if you have any recommendations for great books that I should read, I'm not big into horror, scary things. I'm sorry, I won't read those even if you recommend them. Any other genre is fair game, and I will check it out and definitely look forward to doing a review of that. So thank you for joining me, and have a great day.